Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom, and little did Adam Thielen know he would have been better off in Carolina.
Hey, this is Arif Hasan with WideLeft.Football. Cassandra was cursed to see the future and have no one listen to her. And I've been cursed kind of to like broadly directionally guess at what might the future be and have like 1,000 people listen to me.
Huh? Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. Hey, Quasi and KOC, what would you say you do here?
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings. Surely it won't get worse than that. Right?
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
What's up and welcome to the Monday edition of the Viking Squad Show, streaming on Locked On Vikings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. Glad you've joined us today to continue the vent. We do this after the games. We do this Mondays. We do this Thursdays on the Locked On Podcast Network. Audio, of course, available on Locked On Vikings, wherever you get your podcast. We're going to put the loss in perspective, the performance in perspective. It got worse. Didn't think it could. It got worse. 26-0 loss.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
Yeah.
And you know what? It can get worse than this.
Yeah, the bottom's even lower than this,
But not in franchise history. It's not gotten worse than that, at least in
That's
one
true.
statistical
Or by
area.
DVOA
in
ever.
Right, the DVOA one. We'll
good
talk about all the nerdy. There's some unbelievable nerdy stats off of that loss. We will revel in it. We will bathe in the terribleness of yesterday's game, and we'll try to make ourselves feel better. And I asked the question, do other teams have it this bad? We'll look at some other seasons from hell around the league and how those teams, do they have a silver lining? Do the Vikings have a silver lining? What's next for these next 5 games? Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. You know what? Yesterday, we were all depressed. Luke Inman hosted. Luke Braun was there. Ron was there. We were all depressed. Today, I am going to have an absolute blast for the next hour talking about I've turned a corner.
We're going to talk about this game for 10 years. This is the new Josh Freeman game.
Yeah, I'm so I kind of on schedule, right? Like,
yeah, we needed an update.
Yeah.
It was almost like Brosmer wasn't even on the field to be as embarrassed as badly as Josh Freeman was. Like Freeman, it was just overthrow after overthrow after overthrow, but he kept having to be out there and embarrass himself. Brosmer at least got off the field quickly. And I have a nerdy stat about how quickly he got off the field a little later in the show. But
great.
Arif, why don't you take the first crack? Let's get your just big picture reaction on how much worse it got with Max Brosmer yesterday.
So, like, of course, as one could easily point out, by most production metrics, including one of my favorites, EPA per play, this was, of course, the worst Vikings quarterback performance of the season. But I have more vision than that. I looked at every Vikings quarterback performance going back to the year 2000, because that's as far back as EPA per play data goes. And I am excited to announce that in the past 20 years, there is one performance that by EPA per play was worse until, of course, you actually don't give Brosmer credit for forcing the fumble on the run back from Rick Woolen, because it turns out he only lost like minus 0.13 EPA on that play. And that's because the fumble was recovered by the Vikings. And if all of that happens and there was no fumble, thank you, Jalen Naylor, this does become the worst one. But the one that was contending with it was Brad Johnson's Week 13 performance in 2006 against the Chicago Bears, where on 26 attempts, he completed 11 passes for 73 yards through 4 picks. But to his credit, only took 1 sack.
Hey.
So
in Soldier? Was that in Soldier?
I believe it was.
That's where the in soldier thing started.
Yeah, no,
right
yeah,
there. It was
yeah, that's
we
where it
can't win in
started,
soldier. We can't win in soldier.
Childress
but
could've
yeah,
win there.
if you kind of adjust EPA to not give him credit for what Jalen Naylor did,
Which
on
we
that
should
play,
do, right?
then
Yeah,
it
no,
is
it was
the
good of
worst.
him to throw that interception on that side of the field because he knew Naylor was over there.
Right, yeah. Well, and I think we're evening out the picks, right? Because I think more of the picks were on the right side of the field. So now, we're
there we
bouncing
go.
At the right, left. Yeah, it's honestly,
Busting
I
myths.
feel, yeah. So that's like one way to look at it in terms of how much it helped produce team points. This was the worst one we have in by record, right? Because we just don't have EPA per play going beyond 2,000. So yeah, there you go. Well, you wanted me to start. I assume there's other.
Yeah. Inman, you've had a chance to reflect. I mean, you were asking us yesterday. Now I'm going to ask you: worse than the JJ McCarthy experience? Equal? Hard to say it was better.
No doubt it was worse for sure. JJ got some glimpses. I think my brain right now is just going in 100 different directions, more like big picture than just this Max Brosmer experience, which we vented about yesterday and we'll continue to do, today with some crazy nerdy stats. But like it just the whole thing just feels like malpractice at this point. I think about you spent $100 million on the offensive line, but you're afraid to run the ball. Your first round star wideouts can't catch the ball all of a sudden. Obviously, the number one kind of like disaster masterclass right now starts with the top guys in the building, the GM, just not building a very good roster over the past 3 years. I mean, you could start all the way at the top there, but then the coaching staff too, which we've griped about a lot the past few weeks, doesn't feel like these guys are even like prepared to play. Fox panned over to the sideline at one point. I mean, there was nobody rallying the troops. There was nobody talking to each other. It just feels like this team is just totally quit on KOC. And again, we can continue to pick on KOC for not adapting the scheme and the game plan and the playbook for these young quarterbacks, which is more than fair. But I'm kind of going even more 5D big picture and just saying that these guys don't even look prepared for the most basic foundational things that every other NFL team, when I flip over to Red Zone channel or whatever it may be, they're running the most basic stuff week to week, play to play. And like Vikings are struggling with like day one training camp stuff. And I think it was last week I pulled out the Logan Roy quote, like, this is not a serious group of people right now. I mean, the coaches, the players, again, players look like they quit. That's how bad it got. They're just in complete no man's land right now in every aspect, like a franchise can be week to week, but like big picture stuff too. So maybe a conversation more for the offseason, but yes, it did get worse than the JJ McCarthy experience. And be careful what you wish for, I guess.
Sounded like that was very much a Luke Brownian statement there from Inman. They looked
that was what I was going to say.
Unprepared. Yeah, was that Luke? Which Luke was that? Because Braun, coaches are constantly put in a situation to play ill-equipped quarterbacks, have ill-equipped offensive lines, deal with injuries, and they might look bad. They don't look this bad. Like the bad is reaching new levels of bad, biblically bad levels of bad. That's and there is some quit. It feels like there's some quit to this group, which is just crazy with all the veterans they have.
I can't remember a time when there was this much quit to the Vikings. Like, how many times have we seen them play like a meaningless last game of the season and play their hearts out and then like win it? And then we're arguing about like, did they just ruin their draft position? We're not to that point, right? Like only a couple of teams are even starting to get eliminated, and they feel like a team that's already eliminated.
If the Vikings win out and Green Bay loses out, the Vikings do make the playoffs.
There you go. Right. I mean, hey,
so can't
last
quit
year
now.
Cincinnati was
that
4-8.
simple.
They made a run at it, but I've never seen a Vikings team like this quit. We've seen other teams like this quit, like in those week 17 meaningless games, and you're playing the Bears at home because it was like always that way, and they had been eliminated for weeks, and you could tell they just didn't care about that game. That's kind of how it feels, but only on the offensive side of the ball, where they're all sitting on the bench, they're not talking to each other. That really bothered me. Because it was like 16, and it's a 2-score game in the third quarter, and you already are packing it in. Like if you figure one thing out, If you find one way to like move the ball, get a drive going, you could turn this into a 1-score game the next time you get the ball. But they were sitting there throwing in the towel like it was 35-0. And sure, it felt like it was 35-0, but you don't get to feel that way.
Yeah.
You're the one in the NFL.
You're not allowed.
We can feel that way. We can do whatever we want. We're podcasters. We're idiots. Nobody cares about us. You don't get to care that. You don't get to be that way. And I somebody in the chat mentioned it. The last Vikings season that I am aware of where this kind of thing happened, from when I did the history doc a few years ago, was when I was looking into all of the quotes and all of the kind of talk about the Les Steckel year, 1984, when that year was not about the Vikings not having talent. They had talent on that team. They had players on that team that would end up being Hall of Famers, right? And it's the same thing. This team has talent. There's not nothing on this team. They have Justin Jefferson. They have Jonathan Grenard. They got a big game out of Dallas Turner. Look at that. Like they have players that you can be excited about. But in that Les Steckel year, the reason that year went as bad as it did is because Les Steckel very famously overworked them in training camp. He thought it was going to be a military thing. He was taking ideas from his experience in the military, and he thought he would create brotherhood, right? And he ended up just exhausting everybody, and then they couldn't play. And those talented players suddenly couldn't do what they were usually good at. Well, how many times this year have you said, man, that guy's usually pretty good at catching the ball. Man, Darrisaw doesn't usually take L's like that. Man, these guys aren't really playing. That's because they've quit, just like the Les Steckel team quit. They've quit. Prove me wrong, Vikings.
They've got a month
on the bulletin board. That's great. Go.
They've got a month.
Win a game. Look like you have some life.
At baseline, show they've not quit. First step, I'm just throwing this out there. First step, let's score a touchdown. Let's just try. Let's try to get the ball in the end zone.
Put one on the board.
You know the fight song, go get that first down, then get a touchdown? That's the plan now.
Yeah, that first down took 3 quarters, which is, almost all of 3 quarters, right? Because it was like a minute and a half left until...
That's still a responsible series of goals.
They converted
a first down without the aid of a penalty. Let's dive into the nerdy stats, because the nerdy stats are what has made the last 24 hours, not even, 20 hours, so entertaining. Because they are coming right and left, and I can't keep track of them. Here's first let's play the graphic. Got to do that.
Analytics fans rejoice.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
It's time to get educated.
Whoa, you're blowing my mind right now.
With the nerdy stat of the day.
I've got 2 I'd like to share. Number 1, the Vikings passing on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1. This year, passing. They've done it. It feels like the way people vent, it feels like they do it 5 times a game. They've only done it 7 times. They are 0 for 5, 2 interceptions, 1 holding call that wiped away a touchdown, and against Chicago. Sorry, Chicago. They got a defensive DPI to move the chains.
Nice.
But they've not completed a pass. They are 0 for 5 with 2 interceptions. My second entry, the Vikings had 1 solitary drive. I think it was 19-0 at the time, maybe 26-0. 1 drive longer than 5 plays. Only one other team this year in the NFL has had a game with 1 drive longer than 5 plays. That was Cooper Rush for Baltimore Week 5 in the 44-10 loss. Rush had no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Only one other time that's happened that you were on the field longer than 5 plays, a single time. Max Brosmer, he was smart enough to get out of there. Nope. This drive's going too long.
To get out.
This ain't going
on too long.
Let's get out of here.
Let's airmail it to Jalen Naylor. Let's not belabor this. Nerdy stats. Anyone?
Yeah, I've got one. So, hey, this is like an undrafted free agent. This was his first career start, first year in the league. What could we possibly have expected? So I decided to look at every undrafted free agent in their first 5 career starts, so long as they were within 2 years of having entered the league. I didn't want, someone who's getting their first start. It's like a 5th year, guy hanging around the league for a while. And I went back to 2000, but it's funnier if I go back to 2011. Because of the 52 quarterbacks who have had their first to fifth career start within the first 2 years of the league as an undrafted free agent, Max Brosmer ranks 52nd in EPA per play. And the thing is, the amount by which he ranks 52nd is truly mind-boggling. Because the difference between 52nd and 51st is the difference between 51st and 24th. His negative 0.9 EPA per play is not as bad as 51st ranked Case Keenum against the Raiders in week 11 of 2013. Negative 0.49 EPA per play. There is a whole 0.4 EPA per play in between them. And that is the amount it would take to get Case Keenum up to 24th. It is catastrophically, mind-numbingly bad. Like, we think, hey, third-string quarterback, undrafted free agent rookie, you gotta understand that this is not going to be a good performance. And, hey, trust me, we all understood it wasn't going to be good.
Hey, some people thought it was going to be the next Brock Purdy and got real angry about that with me.
Whoever tweeted or said that,
and they can do whatever they want with that.
Yeah,
I understand.
There's some YouTube
commenters
commenters that I need words with.
I understand it wasn't going to be good, but I've also seen like Tyson Bagent and David Blau and Duck Hodges and Tommy DeVito all do way the heck more than whatever this was. That's how much PR did the Vikings do for this guy heading into this game, man?
Yeah, I made fun of KOC yesterday. The ball didn't hit the ground in practice.
I can't believe they said that on the broadcast. I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
It was.
Of course they are. The coach can't resist. The coach can't stop talking about how good the practices are leading up to the games.
Stop doing that.
Anchor the expectations. Stop it.
Have a bad practice, actually. That's my take.
Honestly, I'm good if Kevin O'Connell non-answers every question for the rest of his time here. He clearly is not built for the podium. He is so many things. Just shut up, dude. I get it. I don't hold it against you.
Yeah, Greg Olson was like cackling. He was like, they are just gushing about this kid, this Max Brosmer, just hyping him up. And not Greg Olson's fault. He's just repeating what the coaching staff and KOC was telling him. But maybe just zip it, dude. Maybe,
the Vikings have gotten,
man, because that ain't it. That ain't working.
The Vikings have been blessed with all the good announcing crews this year. They're headed into Chris Myers territory. Let me tell you what. Let's finish up the nerdy stats with the Lukes after a pause here on the Viking Squad show. Brought to you today by Prize Picks. We make decisions every day, little decisions like, what do I need to get at the grocery store? What do I want on DoorDash? Well, with Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, NBA, both. No better time to jump in on the action. It's super simple. Pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get it right, you win. Takes less than 60 seconds. You can play in most states. You can combine NBA and NFL entries. And with stacks, you can do multiple stats from one player on your entry. A lot of fun. I particularly like the flex because you don't need to be perfect to win. There's also injury reboots if you lose somebody in the first quarter, first half, whatever it might be. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. It's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Luke Inman, nerdy stat to keep it rolling, and then we'll ask the question, do other teams have it this bad? That's later in the segment. But first, nerdy stats. Inman.
QBR, passing yards, sacks, yards per attempt, yards per drop back. This was Sam Darnold's worst game of 2025 in all those categories. So defense actually is a silver lining here. Defense.
There you go.
Out on the road.
I said this
There you
yesterday. Defense, the Seattle offense was like as bad as the Vikings, sans the turnovers.
Defense had a great game.
Yeah, outstanding.
I think I'm going to run something back that I've kind of been tracking now. That is also EPA data back to 2000 because that's as far back as we can go with True Media. Which is by EPA per play. This Vikings offense is at minus 0.16, which is the worst one in that data set. And so what I would love to do, if I could get that data somehow, would be to look at data going back and see it. I don't know who the oldest person on this panel is, but whatever the earliest season we all remember is, that we really remember watching, I do like. I don't think this is better than any like 90s season. And none of us are old enough, I don't think, to do, unless somebody's doing a Paul Rudd here, to like remember the less stuck year. I believe that for this whole panel, this is measurably the worst Vikings offense we have seen in our lives.
That the year that Arif mentioned with the Brad Johnson stat, was that 06?
Yeah.
06, and this is worse by EPA per play by a lot. And actually 2010 was worse than that too.
The 06 team started 4-2 and looked very respectable, and then fell off the face of the earth. Like if you isolated the second half of 06, especially when like T-Jack had to play, it got really ugly that year. But I don't think you can. I can't say it. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it any longer because people are now clipping me and putting it on social media. It can get worse. I've learned my lesson. I'm a changed man. The ghosts of EPA yet to come have
play the sound.
visited me in my sleep. Hold
seriously,
on.
play the sound. Something's happening.
I'm going to guess it's West Phillips.
Lane Kiffin related?
The Vikings have waived wide receiver Adam Thielen.
That'll show you, Adam.
A pity wave to let him go sign with
Some accountability.
This is minus the insulting of caterers. This is a disaster, as disastrous a return as Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's a statement last week. Adam's representation approached the team asking if we would be willing to release Adam, expressing his desire to play a bigger role in the remaining weeks of what he has indicated will be his final NFL season. We've agreed to give him the opportunity to pursue more playing time elsewhere. Adam is one of the all-time great Vikings, and we wish him and his family continued success.
I'm out of words. I mean,
Great,
good for, not surprised that Adam would want that. Like he's got to Instagram post his picture the day of game. Let's go. And he's got to be in uniform to do that. You know, you can't have healthy scratch Adam Thielen. I get it. So clearly the healthy scratch thing was related to this.
Yeah, probably about that. They got less out of that for about the same compensation than they got out of Chris Herndon, right?
Chris Herndon was a fourth. I don't think
it was a fourth with a sixth back. It was pretty similar, right? Or did we get a fourth?
This was a 6-7 swap, I believe.
No,
I think there might have been a swap, but
let me look it up.
Definitely, we
there
had to give
was
up
a
a
swap.
sixth.
A lot has happened, everybody. All right.
Maybe a 6 and then 7 swaps. Who was the punter that we gave up like a fourth and a
Corey Vedvik for a
Corey
fifth?
Vedvik.
Yeah.
Kicker and punter at the same time. You're going to save a roster spot.
Yeah.
double dip?
Would the Vikings team website give the terms of the deal?
Does he feel
Minnesota will
disrespected
receive.
when I say who is the punter
a
then?
fifth and a
Isn't it like,
fourth
who's the kicker?
with a seventh and fifth back. So basically a fourth for a seventh with some like years shuffling.
Yeah.
Which is Chris Herndon was a fourth for a sixth back. So this was more expensive than Chris Herndon. And I believe they got worse production. Good job, Kwesi. We're doing a great job of like refreshing all those things that you'll hear about forever, you know?
Yeah, I once again cursed with the ability to kind of broadly directionally guess at the right take, only to be yelled at by a fraction of the people who listen to me. I was right. This was a bad trade at the time.
You know what they say about people like you, Arif? You're always getting yelled at for being right too early.
Yeah. No, that's the thing that they always say.
Yep.
Adam Thielen's final line.
Who was the pass rusher we give up a second for? when
Yannick
Everson went down.
Ngakwe.
Ngakwe?
Yannick Ngakwe.
Yeah, but that was
Sack
like
leader
real
of that
estate.
season.
Those were
real
like
estate because
5 great games.
Yeah. You got a fourth back. Don't worry about it.
Had the least interest of stopping the run that I've ever seen in a defensive lineman. Did not care. Andre Patterson.
Yeah, but is that worse than Javon Hargrave, who clearly cares and just can't? Is that?
There's a quadrant they talk about in business. There's the can and will, or the can and won't employees, the can't and won't. Hargrave is like a want and can't, I think, are the words to describe him. And Ngakwe was can and won't. I bungled that. Don't listen. Don't quote that.
I envisioned as soon
It
as
can't
you
get
mentioned the
worse.
quadrant,
Don't worry.
I envisioned it in my head and blanked out the rest of what you said because it was pretty clear where you were going with it. We're good.
We got there. We all got there in our heads.
Yeah.
We just took different routes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Six
it's
Sigma,
the worst.
right? Yeah, we're good.
We've established worst trade. Let's just call it the worst trade ever. The worst offensive performance.
Certainly,
ever.
I can't think of a worse trade in Vikings history. So that must be.
No.
Yeah, in the quarter century. Was the pick six thrown? See, we're having fun today. The pick six thrown by Brosmer. Is it the greatest folly, shy of Jim Marshall running the wrong way?
No,
in Vikings history?
Joe Webb throwing left-handed.
What game was that? I wish I remembered that. Was it intercepted?
Yeah, it was intercepted. It was the playoff game. It was the one where Christian Potter had carpal syndrome, so they had to play Joe Webb. And for like a drive and a half, the Vikings were like, "Hey, we've got this. We've got literally the best athlete on the field, the best athlete that'll ever play quarterback up until Lamar Jackson gets drafted, right? So we'll run the ball with him. Actually, and they did that for like a drive and a half, and it worked. It worked for the Packers." The 49ers were watching that and were like, hey, we've got Colin Kaepernick, good version. We know exactly, what to do with this. And the Vikings watching the same thing were like, we better stop. And they started throwing the ball. So
left-handed.
Well, he was the one who decided I got to do this left-handed now.
I hope the commenters come up with some examples because I would love to hear your nominees for biggest follies in Vikings history.
There are some real funny things that you can find in old like expansion year teams. Like swing pass backward that, clatters off of Bill Brown's pads and gets returned for a touchdown, that kind of stuff.
Sorry. One score KOC. I imagine Sam's quadrant explanation is what it sounds like in the QB headset.
But it gets cut off halfway through.
Brought up Nick Mullins throwing an interception to a guy that was sacking him. That's a good one.
Yeah.
It didn't turn into a touchdown, though.
The form that he had, the technique that he had reminded me of who was that? Remember Moneyball, the A's, and that relief pitcher with the sidearm. Sidearm, Bradford. Yeah.
Bradford.
He tossed that underhand like you would toss somebody a beer while watching this game.
Yeah, what was the spin rate on that fastball, Inman?
Yeah.
That submarine.
Get the radar gun out.
We're waiting for the
slider
back. Yeah.
Right into his chest.
Nasty.
Strike one.
Yeah, we gotta get Fangraphs to get us the pitch effects. Yeah.
I get John Boy to break that down.
How does this feel compared to say 2010? 2010 stadium, a stadium falling apart, embarrassment on the organization on multiple fronts with Moss, and now you've got the Thielen equivalent. That was the Moss return. You had the Favre sexting scandal.
I think two things kind of separate this from 2010 in a really significant way for me. One, it was funny. 2010 was so funny how stupid everything was. Because when the stadium collapsed, no one was in it, so we could laugh, right? Because that would have been
the one guy on the cart,
in a cool way.
I don't know how we got a camera in there, but we did, and we got to see it. But the stadium
insurance
collapsed,
is did you plan this whole thing?
Yeah, and it's we didn't really like Favre, right? So it was just like we both knew that we were kind of here to accomplish some goals and then F off forever, right? And so when Favre got pasted to the turf against Buffalo and then later to the concrete floor that was TCF Bank Stadium, it was just like, I don't want that to happen, but it is kind of funny that someone did like a GIF version where they kind of erased him in Photoshop and they did a little chalk outline, right? Like that's funny. like all and like the Randy Moss catering story was just like, okay. Like, and Randy Moss threw a pass to Favre. It was so fun. It was like one of the first plays with Randy Moss back in a Vikings uniform. They got called back because it was an illegal play. Like, just so funny, right? And I believe Brett Favre's 500th touchdown pass is to Randy Moss. One of the stupidest stats in history, right? That's a funny season, Sam.
Yeah.
This is so sad.
There is
all
no
we
joy.
have is 9. That's all we have.
Joy.
The rest is sadness.
Like 2013 was pretty miserable, but those were fun games. Every single game came down to the wire. The Vikings had some random, like they scored 48 against Philadelphia, I think, and they beat Chicago in overtime. Like there were fun games in the Castle Ponder lame duck Frazier year. There's nothing redeemable about this, except like Jalen Redmond.
So the funniness is like my first bit about that. My second bit about that is like you took out a loan for the 2009 season to happen, and you're just paying interest in 2010, right? Like you got all the way to the NFC Championship game, and it just wasn't enough. Your credit line wasn't good enough, right? And so now you're paying it back in 2010. But like the 14-3 season didn't give us anything. It got us an embarrassment in the first round not even a bye, which is crazy, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to play the wild card round, and it sucked
In the wrong stadium, and you got embarrassed.
Yeah, and so you didn't even get anything with the loan you took out, and you're still paying credit on it. This is the worst credit line I've ever taken out. So those are the differences.
What is the interest rate?
Dude, this is like an APR of like one of those like payday loan apps that like hide all of the
one of those you'd find in like a strip mall on a crowded street.
Yeah. And,
next to like a nail salon and a really good hole in the wall joint.
Yeah, but there's like a behind the counter. There's like a bat with nails in it.
Yeah. If I may circle back, the Adam Thielen release did happen just in time for the conditions to satisfy that Thielen is. I do not believe he was quite active for 10 games because I think he was hurt for a bit. And I think the inactivation of last week meant that 7th that comes back is actually a 6th.
Hey,
look
next
at us
level,
go.
5D check.
Quasey's back, baby.
So it's one pick difference in each year.
It's
2026,
now
6-5. And then
there's
5-4.
a little bit of like
who's got it better than us
from 2026 to 2027, but it's a 4th and a 5th for a 5th and
Draft
a 6th,
another
which,
Will
which
Reichman.
makes it really similar to the Chris Herndon trade.
Gross. If Thielen goes and balls out wherever he goes, also just like that will happen because why not? Why not add?
The Vikings need to get embarrassed a little bit more because they had the audacity to believe in themselves, which they're not allowed to do. I mean, that's been the case like for the last like decade of the Vikings. Anybody who believes in the Vikings is an idiot, including the Vikings.
Yeah, and like us, but like
no, they also always get lambasted for like daring to try. I don't know.
Adam Thielen.
Wait, hold on. I do have one question. Was Quasi ever successful as a financial trade? Like we never actually asked.
Right, we never did. Did we vet that? Did
Trick
we do
question.
the background
Can't
on that?
fail.
Business section of the scrib. Get on it.
we just knew he was like in the financial markets doing like stock trading or some stuff, right? We don't actually know if he was.
We didn't look at the portfolio.
Yeah, we were just like, that's impressive.
He's all in on what was a like Blockbuster Video.
Yeah, they're gonna make a big turnaround here. That
High
Netflix
low.
stuff, that's a fad.
Everyone's gonna go back to
I'm
the
super
cassette
into this.
tape.
You guys heard of this WeWork stuff? I'm super into this.
Macho Meech, where were you? We hit the sound, dude. Where were you? Well, also Macho Meech. KOC saying Darisaw still hasn't recovered from his knee in yesterday's presser. I feel like that's been confessed numerous times. Like he has explained this whole rigmarole by saying he still has. I think I'm almost positive that he has admitted that.
This is 14 months on what is usually a 9 to 12 month injury. Maybe we shouldn't rush guys back. Maybe you shouldn't rush back Aaron Jones from his AC joint sprain, only for him to get hit directly in the AC joint and fumble and get hurt more. Maybe we should stop doing this. Who's doing this?
Yeah, this is
Well, when Justin School's your backup left tackle, maybe that's also a problem.
Also a decision we could maybe question.
But like, okay, so yeah, obviously, the Justin School decision but like, I just feel like if your concern is like, we can't put, Justin School out there, we have to rush Christian Darrisaw back soon. The net effect of re-injuring your left tackle is your backup left tackle does end up playing even more games.
This led to more Justin School.
Yeah, it's like
nobody ever handles
this is somehow Justin School returned. I'm gonna keep using that joke framework for like the rest of my life.
Somehow Justin School returned. This is something that drives me nuts about this Vikings structure, this regime. They very often approach problems in the way that nobody else ever does. Nobody does this with their, freshly ACL torn left tackle. They just let the guy get healthy, maybe even leave it a week too long, maybe get criticism for that. But like nobody does this. Nobody does this with all of their players. Nobody does this nobody asks their young quarterbacks to do as much as O'Connell asks their young quarterbacks to do. They are all like, nobody trades out of the 12th pick with a division rival to get extra value out of their Lewis scene. Like nobody does this crap. They always are doing things that nobody does and then being like, whoa, this is a bad idea. Yeah, that's why nobody else is doing it. Can you try to be normal once? Please, God.
Market inefficiencies. They're ripping off their division rival in a trade, right? Right?
I would argue.
Trying to get.
They did get
I don't believe a word I'm
for
saying.
That one, so
I would.
But
argue
they're not going with white receivers, so I don't know if they're doing the most market inefficiencies. It's not like Belichick out here.
I would argue that neither Jamison Williams nor Christian Watson have lived up to the pick value that they were selected at, and yet the Vikings somehow ended up embarrassingly worse.
So true.
I'm kind of glad that trade was with rivals, because at least those guys, you gave them a chance to mess something up too. Although Jamison Williams got paid a lot of money to get like
kind of nice
2 good games a year.
He's fine, but he's not like
also
12th
Watson.
overall
They're
pick
just
material.
Yeah. What's he on pace for? Like 700 yards? Good KJ Osborne season.
I couldn't say. I don't know. Christian Watson is on a 17-game pace. That's pretty good right now. Let's little late. Let's try to make ourselves feel better. Let's compare and
he has
despair,
700 yards.
Except the opposite. Let's find the despair of other teams and see if we are in a worse or better spot next on the Viking Squad Show. Brought to you by Game Time. This is a great opportunity to get to US Bank Stadium. Have you not been there yet? Well, you can get to the Commanders game for $70. You don't see many 2-digit entry prices at US Bank Stadium. That is the benefit of the situation the Minnesota Vikings are in. Also, the World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. 48 teams for the first time ever. It's going to be massive, and getting tickets is going to be the hardest part. Game Time app can come in clutch there as well. Seat view feature, game changer. See what the pitch looks like when you get your seats. The fees are listed up front, so no last-second surprises. And pick a game, tap a section, have your tickets locked in within minutes. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup or Vikings tickets. Every match, every concert, every local event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. I'm going to name a franchise, and welcome back, by the way, in the Vikings Squad Show. We'll be back on Thursday. Care 11 crew on Wednesday. Full week. I'm going to name a franchise. Go around the horn. Tell me why this franchise is in a better or worse spot than the Vikings. Inman, you first. The Atlanta Falcons.
You know what I was just thinking about this morning before I get to my answer? Remember when so many people were like, man, the Vikings should have traded back with Atlanta. Who traded up? I think it was the Rams, right? The Rams ended up getting Atlanta's pick. The Vikings could be sitting right now. I was just looking at the, tankathon. I mean, the Vikings could be sitting right now with on pace or on schedule for 2 top 10 picks had they traded back. Obviously, we liked Donovan Jackson at the time, but, in hindsight, for sure, would be nice to have a lot more draft capital in this top 10.
Interesting.
The Falcons right now, how are the Falcons doing? I haven't watched enough Michael Penix, I feel like, to know how Falcons fans feel about the future of their quarterback position.
Well, Kirk Cousins is outperforming him, so.
It's been pretty rough at times. It hasn't been as bad as McCarthy, of course, but it's been enough to be concerning, and then also this is his 3rd knee injury.
Well, I was going to say the injuries right off the bat without even watching him, just knowing the injury kind of pedigree he had coming in, the AC at 2 ACLs, then the shoulder as well out of Washington, now to be shelved for the year. The injuries alone would scare you. They have a good kind of core foundational couple star pieces, obviously, with Bijan. Their offensive line got decimated. They lost Drew Dahlman, I know, to Chicago. They lost their starting left tackle before the season started. I thought going into week 2 that they were going to get exposed a little bit by the Vikings defensive line. Wasn't the case. So their offensive line is, I think, just in general, and again, don't know the past 4 or 5 weeks, but outperformed, I think, the player evaluation we had going into the year. But outside of that, they got some young pieces on defense now with those 2 first-round edge rushers. It feels like about the same, but again, the Vikings going into the year, guys, obviously had way, way, way higher expectations and kind of pushed their chips all in. The Falcons right now is still in like year 2 of a kind of mini rebuild going on.
Falcons may not get Penix back until, middle of next year, early next year. Depends on the timeline and whether they honor that timeline, unlike some teams locally. They don't have much cap space. Maybe clear a little bit up if they cut Kirk. That could open up $22 million for them, I think. But they're in a tough spot. Now, as pointed out by Bad Dad Joke, I think this is a pretty good point. They're in the South. The Vikings are in the North. Like, that being the worst team in the best division is a pretty hopeless position. Anyone else on the Falcons?
Well,
I don't really care about the division. Teams change a lot year over year.
The Falcons don't have a first-round pick. That just feels like really important to this conversation. That's a really awful place to be, not have a first-round pick.
And not just your first-round pick, but would have been a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
And they got what for it?
Well, they moved back up for Pierce from Tennessee, the edge rusher. So they took 2 edge rushers. Remember last year they had like bottom 3 total sacks. So they said, let's not get 1. Let's get 2 edge rushers. And I think they've been better. But again, going into next offseason, next draft, they'll end up being 4 or 5 games below 500. You don't have that first round pick. That hurts. That hurts a lot. So a lot of pressure on Pierce now to be a guy for sure over the next couple of years.
Sure. And he's been okay. Just okay. What about the Arizona Cardinals? You got that the Kyler contract is an albatross next year for sure. Probably not cuttable unless they just want to eat all of it. They're 3-9.
But they're like for 2026, they're in the middle of the league in terms of cap space available to them.
31 million, I think, is the number I have.
Yeah. So that's not too bad. They've got some cap flexibility. They have almost no dead money on the books. Obviously, you would treat Kyler as dead money, so that's not like, but for the most part, they don't have any other contract albatrosses besides Kyler Murray, and you can always play around with trades to get the other team to kind of take on some of this. So if you trade Kyler, you might not have to worry that much about it. Plus, they've got the 8th pick. As far as this season has gone, they've got the 8th pick. I would argue that they have like less overall talent than the Vikings do, and so if you're thinking about like what core pieces do they have to build around, it's like Marvin Harrison. I guess I'd count Michael Wilson, Trey McBride. And do we count Budda Baker as a core piece to build around, like kind of going forward, or is he a little bit too old for that? Yeah, you would. Okay.
I think so.
I would say probably a little bit less than that, but I think they're in a better spot than the Vikings are.
Yeah, I think they're in a worse spot because of how much more building they have to do. I'll borrow a phrase from Peter Bukowski. This was years ago. He was talking about the Lions before their rebuild really started, and he said they were 2 years away from being 2 years away. I kind of feel like that's where the Cardinals are right now, because they have to get out from under what they have now, which probably atrophies the roster worse, and then they have to build on that stuff. I feel like they've got a much longer turnaround path. I think the Vikings, despite having a better record, are a worse team than the Cardinals are right now, but I think that they've got a quicker path to like improvement because they just don't have to replace as many guys as urgently.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings are kind of stuck with this group for next year, right? And it's a group that defensively, I think you can win with if you had a league average offense. I don't think it's a total it's not a makeover on both sides of the ball. You're bringing back your core on defense. You do need some pieces, but not all of them. Your front seven is pretty solidified. I think that would be some optimism on the Vikings side. Inman, did you want to weigh in on the Cardinals quick?
No, I think you guys nailed it. I agree. It feels like they're more than, I mean, the Kyler situation and decision, again, sounds like they're going to have to roll with him next year. Maybe they don't, though. Maybe, what is this, year 7 of Kyler?
I think he gets traded in the offseason.
Yeah, I think they think long and hard about moving on from Kyler. Again, year 7, I want to say, maybe even longer, maybe year 8. Nonetheless, he just hasn't moved the needle enough for them, for the amount of money they're paying him. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they try to move on and just start the rebuild from there, even if they do have to eat quite a bit of cap. Like you said, they got $31 million. They can do that and then start to build for 2027 and beyond, I think.
Let me toss out 3 more. Tell me if you hate any of these situations more. Raiders, Browns, Commanders.
I 100% will always hate the Raiders situation.
Raiders, yeah. Whatever bad things are happening to the Vikings, you can look in Las Vegas and something worse is happening to them.
The Raiders have a better draft pick and like $100 million in cap space. I don't care. That's all screwed up.
That is like what we have learned, I think, from a lot of these rebuilds that like didn't really get anywhere. Is when you have no roster to speak of at all, you can have all the assets in the world. You can only replace so many guys in one offseason. And some of those free agents are going to whiff, and some of those draft picks are going to whiff. And it takes a lot of time to build up a roster from scratch. And the Raiders have been at a point of having just like nothing but Max Crosby to hang their hats on.
And like refusing to trade him. Just 100% just being like, no, we're keeping this dude forever.
Yeah. For like half a decade, they've been in this spot. Like, it's rough. Like, that team has been embarrassed in ways more creative than even the Vikings and Falcons can. They were the team that lost to the Jeff Saturday Colts.
They are.
Oh,
yeah.
Like,
and they also lost 3-0 to a Vikings defense that had at that point been solved, right? Like, like the Seaford article had been out.
They wouldn't win. The Vikings didn't win another game that year after that one. For all of the like EPA stuff we've talked about, the Raiders lost to the Chiefs this year in a way that is worse than anything the Vikings have done, except maybe this game. It's rough, man. That's like a relegation team.
They're the most expensive offensive coordinator in the NFL, and they let go of him after 11 games. They were just like, no, sorry, Chip Kelly. You get to keep this money, and that's actually how much we're paying you to never come
And they
back.
were right to do it.
And they were correct after having already fired the defensive coordinator earlier. They were like, all right.
He was calling stuff that he did not install. Like I can't fathom.
But like, what is the point of the sheet if I can't believe that?
It is something that is like akin to some of the stuff that the Vikings have done this year, where it's like, what were you how are you even thinking that was a good idea? There's a reason nobody ever does this. But yeah, I guess who cares about ownership's money? There's not a salary cap for that, so whatever.
But it's funny.
It is funny.
Anyway, sorry, I got caught up on the Raiders. What was the other team situation you brought up?
Yeah, I think the Commanders will get Jaden back eventually. They've got a ton of cap space. That's a fine situation. The Browns, I mean, they're just like waiting for the clock to run out on Deshaun, I guess, and then they go forward with Gabriel, or they trade Gabriel or Sanders.
Has Shedeur been good enough to earn another, like a chance to compete for the job next year?
I would say, from what my watching, I would say he has played well enough to compete for a starting job, with the understanding that the presumption goes to whoever they're bringing in.
Got it.
So whether it's a first-round pick or a veteran or whoever, like if Kenny Pickett comes back, it's like,
yeah, I'm not taking the Brown situation. I think if we had all this kind of season, but then we also had to have like Deshaun Watson conversations. Man, I think I'd start doing some illegal things.
How much longer on Deshaun do they have?
They can actually potentially void guarantees.
Got to be getting close here.
They can get out of it.
They should have been voiding guarantees because he violated rehab protocol.
Yeah.
Which is how the Raiders got out of, speaking of the Raiders, how the Raiders got out of the Christian Wilkins stuff. Right?
Which has become a lawsuit, but
yeah, but like,
good luck.
Yeah. Have fun with that, Deshaun Watson.
Watson expires next year, but then they have $50 million dead in void the year after that.
Yeah, they should do some injury guarantee shenanigans with them.
Isn't there there's ongoing discussion behind the scenes about that, right? Like that's
what it sounds like,
it's bubbling below.
Tough division
I'm sure
too, right?
will.
You got Lamar, you got Joe Burrow, the Steelers always 500 with Tomlin. Tough division there.
So we're painting the Vikings as a bottom 3 situation in the NFL-ish right now. We didn't talk about the Titans. Like, they're going to have the top pick for a second year
I would
in a
say
row.
the Titan situation is worse, even if we accept that Cam Ward is secretly good.
Yeah,
right.
The Titans are definitely a worse team, but they are, I think, on track for where they intended to be. Like this, they know. They're fine. Like, if I'm a Titans fan, I'm not.
They do have the
stressing
number
this
1
season very
pick
much.
and also the most cap space next year. So, like, structurally, that's helpful. But like, it's so much roster you have to fix.
Yeah, there's a lot of building.
They'll be able to
do.
trade that pick though, and pull a Chicago and stockpile. You would think,
Yeah,
and at
Get
least have
DJ
ammo. You
Moore.
still got to pick the right guys, and you still got to develop them too. As we know here, you got to develop the guys too. But at least they'll have a lot of lottery tickets there, a lot of darts at the board. And I mean, they're not? We got 5 weeks left here. They're not like
they're one game
to
clear
be the number 1 pick, right?
Yeah, they're not guaranteed.
Right.
Yeah.
One game clear of the 2-10 Raiders, and is anyone else the Giants are 2-10. So the Titans would be ill-advised to win at this point.
Saints got to be close. What do they got?
Saints
3?
are also 2-10. It's a very bottom heavy.
Yeah,
and
Saints are in a real rough spot because they still aren't out from
Saints
under their
feel
cap
like
stuff.
they've been so bad for so long and never have any cap. Is that just like a Drew Brees ripple effect there for a while, or what happened?
It's just how they do business.
They had a reasonable path out until they signed Derek Carr. They simply didn't need to do that.
Funny.
Okay.
That's so funny.
They put like $40 million a year on that thing, and they like made it work on the cap, and everyone was like, "Wow, the cap must really be fake." And it's like they didn't have to do that, but I think they're still paying the piper for that.
Yeah, 40 mil, especially back then, even 4 or 5 years ago, was for Derek Carr was astronomical. Not good.
Yeah.
I think we're turning the page back to J.J. McCarthy this Sunday. If he clears protocol, we'll talk about what we expect from J.J., KOC, and the Vikes against the Commanders next on the Squad Show. Welcome back to the squad. So like I said, $70 to get into US Bank Stadium to watch this Commanders game. Another game that on the schedule looked awesome. Jaden coming in, NFC Championship game appearance last year. JJ against Jaden, couple of young quarterbacks. Home schedule has been awful. The Vikings have, I keep forgetting about Cincinnati, which felt like ages ago. They do have one home win this year. But what, I don't really care about the Commanders right now. Like what can we hope to see if JJ is the starter again on Sunday? And I suspect he will be. What can KOC do? What are the options? What are the avenues to get anything out of this offense?
I really want to feel like things are properly timed. Like I want to see the ball get out at the top of the drop, or top of the drop, one hitch, get the ball out. If he misses that throw, we know his mechanics are messed up. We'll deal with that. But I want to see it look like he knows where to go and when to go there. And I want to see the timing of the offense just kind of generally work better than it has. I would love to see Kevin O'Connell admit that he needs to simplify his offense for JJ McCarthy instead of just doing it for Carson Wentz and not even really doing it for Max Brosmer. That's just insane to me how much extra physical quarterback stuff he had to do with the way that play action fakes worked and the way that it kind of misaligns your feet and you have to get your feet realigned and all that. That stuff is so hard to do. Can we please stop asking these young guys that can't do it to do it? And maybe we'll see if that pulls things together a little bit more. I want to see the ball get to where it's supposed to go. And if he one hops it because he's not throwing mechanically right, whatever. I want to see that at least there is some vision for how this could look instead of just historic incompetence.
The Vikings are running the ball. Got that wrong. The Vikings are passing the ball more than they run the ball on first down. Only 7 teams do that in the league, which surprised me. I thought it'd be higher. The Vikings are one of the 7 that throw it more than run on first down. And maybe some of that's that they're just trailing all the time. But
are those other 6 good? Are they good teams? Are they good offense?
I can just look at RBS.
Just get the game flow adjusted.
Yeah. Get the rundown. But like I feel like there is an effort. I felt this for a couple weeks. There's an effort to establish some kind of run. Like they've been featuring Aaron Jones early in these games. But to
Aaron Jones' chagrin.
They're passing 5% less than expected on 1st and 10 based on like game script. So I would say that's probably just their trailing.
Okay,
moot
point. A lot, moot point. They're trying to create some manageable passing situations, and it's just not working. I mean, Alec Lewis. Let's go to the Alec Lewis stat, and he's been cooking. The Vikings are converting 36.1% of 3rd and shorts this season. That's 3rd and 3 or fewer. 3rd lowest of any team since 2000.
2015 Titans, Mariota, rookie. And Eagles?
0-1 Eagles with, I assume, McNabb. It's not good. It's not. So saying that the Vikings need to run it more effective.
What's the league average on 3rd and short? Like 55% or something?
Yeah, probably maybe even higher, 60.
Yeah. Vikings passing 2% more on 3rd and short, both 3rd and
really
3rd
be
and 1
trailing
and 2
because they've only been passed.
Yeah, you don't
like
exactly
last
have
week.
the choice.
Yeah,
sometimes, but they're also like O'Connell can't help himself. You got to do some tricky dicky nonsense instead of just lining up behind that.
He can't help himself because this has gone on since KOC's been here, right?
Yeah, no, he physically can't stop it. Like there's no.
Or they have zero confidence at just winning point of the attack, offensive line, making any room or push.
That's the whole thing. Like you paid a ton of money for a really talented roster with a lot of proven players. That offense has, 1st-round picks all over it, and then played as though you're UC San Diego playing Alabama, and you need to like whiteboard everything and make it so nobody on your team has to be good. You're not putting guys in a position to win a rep. You're putting guys in a position where they don't have to win a rep, and you're working way too hard to get there. And that causes the whole thing to collapse because those guys can't execute that fancy stuff. They can win a route, but they can't execute with that perfect, exactly, space-time stuff that you need. And you just kind of have to let those guys cook instead of trying to scheme it all yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's just overcooked.
The league average is 60%, by the way. So whoever, Luke Inman, I think you said that.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
This is mind-blowing to me. There's still teams out there, like decent teams, that have trailed on more plays this year than the Vikings. Now, maybe this is because the Vikings just don't run any plays. This could be the answer. Like maybe percentage of plays would be a more accurate representation, but like the Cowboys and the Panthers have trailed on more plays than the Vikings this year. That's wild. Huh.
How about
Yeah.
the Panthers, by the way? Can't believe they won that game.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, fun.
Stuck
Having
by
fun.
their QB.
Bryce Young.
Thielen was a
Figured it
problem.
out. Year 3.
Yeah, the Vikings need the hard bench, McCarthy, right, to get the Bryce Young bounce.
Right.
Fire McCown.
First, you have to find McCown
Mm-hmm.
to get the Bryce Young boost.
Yes. True. Yes.
Simple algorithm here. Yeah.
Yeah,
We got the-
yeah.
Bryce Young
steps.
pre-McCown firing and post-McCown firing. Is there a through line here?
All right. What veteran quarterback are we going to go get next year?
I was just
we
going to
could-
go look at that.
We could get
give me Jameis. I want Jameis.
Oh, I thought you meant as a quarterback coach, and I was thinking like Cade
Oh,
McCown.
well, I mean, I
Ooh.
guess that's pretty important as well.
Teddy
Yeah.
Bridgewater.
Ooh, yeah, let's do that.
Professional.
He's probably
backup
going to
listener.
kill. He seems pretty happy being like a high school coach and like mentoring.
Yeah, he's fine. He's staying in Florida, is my guess.
Yeah.
He's doing commercials now. He's
Yeah,
on
those
all the
progressive
time.
Professional backup.
And
listener.
it was perfect for him, right? Because he just has to listen.
Right.
That's exactly how I envision Teddy. It's perfect. Just an active, kind listener.
Daniel
true.
Jones. Daniel Jones would take, won't happen. Aaron Rodgers, no. Russell Wilson, no. Mariota, no. Wilson. Actually, that'd be the type of quarterback that maybe KOC could work
You'd
with.
say no to Mariota?
That I'm amending that. Maybe.
Okay.
Oh, I'd be
Zach
a huge
Wilson,
yes
no
to
thanks.
Mariota right
Yeah,
now.
absolutely yes to Mariota.
The ageless Joe Flacco, 41.
Sure. I don't know, man.
They said no to him
Whatever.
last year. He called him. They could have had him. He called the Vikings, and they were like, "No, $4 million
we're
for you,
good.
too much."
We got I just forgot who the fifth Sam Howell. We got Sam Howell. Don't
We got
worry
Sam
about
Howell,
it.
dude.
How good a guy must Case Keenum be for him to keep floating around the league, finding his way on rosters,
Bring him
and not
back.
playing?
Bring him back.
Almost at the 10-year anniversary. I think we
Bring
wait till
Latavius back.
2027.
Yep. Bring Case back.
Bring Sage Rosenfels back, actually.
It was funny
Yeah, there you go.
watching the end of that Jets Falcons game and watching Mike Hughes get torched for like a 60-yard bomb there right at the end.
It was really
Hughes,
fun.
Mike Hughes
just
still kicking it.
seeing, Kirk Cousins, 1 minute, no timeouts, and then seeing him go immediately 3 and out with enough time for the other team to get a field goal the other way. And I was like, this feels
It was
comfortingly
beautiful.
familiar.
And the
You know?
touchdown they did score to go ahead was just a quick bubble
It's,
screen.
it's
It was
Thanksgiving
just all
weekend. I'm
David
with
Stills.
family. I'm feeling nostalgic. It was nice. It was warming.
So yeah, I would take Tarod. I would take a version of Jameis that didn't have his history. Like an idealized Jameis.
That's Jameis Winston. That's Nick Mullins.
Oh yeah, Nick Mullins. Well, I mean, Jameis does have like arm strength. Like that is a difference. But yeah,
Jacoby
Nick Mullins.
Brissett?
If
Oh,
Jacoby Brissett is
easily.
available, that's the gold standard. I think.
Easily,
He
take
is not
That's like the
listed. You
best
might-
idea.
I
think
have
out
been
there.
arguing for them to bring in
Dude,
Jacoby Brissett for
he's
years.
legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacoby might be signed. He is. He's
He
signed.
had a multi-year contract. Good for him, dude.
Yeah.
Multi-year contract. That's great.
Trade for Kyler.
If you're going to go Kyler,
know,
might as well just go Anthony Richardson at that point.
Benjamin
yeah.
Garcia.
Anthony
Commit to the
Richardson
whole
ending up with Kevin O'Connell feels like an inevitability.
That feels like fate. That does feel like fun. I will.
That would at least be fun.
heard again for sure.
Yeah.
I'm starting to doubt KOC's infectious optimism, though. A few cracks through the veneer there.
What changed?
I think this is the like beach vibes thing that I've been criticizing since he got here. That like, you know, obviously it always feels great when you're winning and everything is kumbaya, but yeah, man, you go on a losing streak and nobody's got fire.
You're such a hardo, dude. We never actually brought up what the DVOA stat was, by the way, which is this is the worst offensive performance by a Vikings team in DVOA history, which goes back 30 years.
And similar to your stat, I think about was it Bros like of undrafted quarterbacks debuting, how much worse he was than the next worst person. The DVOA performance was like 30 points worse than the next worst. And the difference between 1 and 11 was like very small, and then a 30-point gap.
Yeah.
Up until yesterday.
Yeah.
By far. Like that'll be entrenched at that number one spot for decades and decades.
Yeah, and
Well,
Aaron Schatz made a good
Until
point
next week.
that DVOA does punish him for the Reek Woolen pick, while EPA per play does not. Which
Oh, there you go.
yeah.
Mhm.
we will be back on Thursday for the squad show. In the meantime, Ron Johnson will have his analysis tomorrow on the Ron Johnson Show. Carol Evan crew in here, Reggie Wilson, Julia Daniels talking on Wednesday. So we'll be miserable from multiple perspectives here on Locked On Vikings. We appreciate you watching, listening, commenting, and subscribing. Talk to you next time.